It's a summit, best practices, and what we really feel like is that historically we've punished our high poverty school districts, and instead what we're trying to do is put best practices out and bring great solutions to the table.
One, we want to make sure that we just get the facts out there around what it means to be a school in a challenging environment, what some of the real challenges are there, and then some of the recommendations, again, around best practices, equity audits, more time in school, other things that we can do, whether it's from a policy level, whether it's from the General Assembly providing additional support and funding, superintendents, or just the community at large and the business community being involved and engaged, again, trying to make sure that all our children succeed.
We're excited about not only VSBA's participation, but the partnership with VCU, and this is an effort that the Department of Ed has wanted to do for some time. We think it's important that we get folks together to share what is happening in classrooms, and there are some great practices out there that are kind of happening in isolation. We want folks to be able to talk about them and share them.
I hope there's some real practical things they can take back to their school districts where they can put it in the individual classrooms. Maybe it's how to reach out to families more. Maybe it's how to institute a better preschool program. Very practical solutions to the issues in their cities and communities.
We hope they walk away and everyone walks away with something that they could immediately do at their school. In other words, they say, I learned something today that I can start doing tomorrow that makes a difference. But more importantly, we hope that they'll see this as a first step to say, you know what, this is day one of what will be a professional learning community for many years to come so that we can really share best practice across the state.
I'm always searching for examples of innovative best practices around the work that we do. Of course, my role is to impact student achievement in a positive way for urban school divisions, and many times there's a reflection of limited examples of best practices across the nation, and anytime you can come together and see that happen and engage with colleagues around successes that have happened across the region as well as the nation, it's a good thing to do, so that's why I'm here.
We can improve what goes on in the classroom by engaging more effectively with families, by helping families feel welcome. And we've got good schools all across the Commonwealth who are figuring out ways to do that. And one of the fun things that's going on here today is that school systems are getting to learn from each other.
We know from research that parents are the first and most influential teachers of children, and so if we can harvest that and use that to help our kids do better in school, it's a good thing.
Well, today Newport News Public Schools is going to share our story of extended learning time and how we feel like that time is a big factor in learning and summer is a big factor in learning. And so what we worked on a after school and a summer school program that served as a jump start to the next school year. And so rather than remediation focus and drill and kill, it's really built around STEM discovery and with the SOLs that the students would work with in their next grade level. And it's been very effective for us.
Well, the focus of our particular roundtable is about how the district level can provide support to schools who are in challenging environments. And so it really is important that as you look at assisting schools, that they get the kind of support from the division level, from the curriculum leaders, from their executive directors, their immediate supervisors, in a way that really fits their specific needs. And so we've gone about in a very systematic way of determining the exact needs of each school and then designing a division level support team. And what we hope to do today is to share our experience and some of the successes that we've had with this particular model.
Dr. Sutherland provided us with some research studies about how important it is if we're going to train teachers on specific strategies, that's not effective unless it's really followed up with coaching. And we all were very pleased to hear that, and we were more encouraged if we could get funding so that we could provide really high quality coaching so that any training we provide translates into effective classroom strategies.
It's a hard time for everybody because the budgets have been so tight. What we find is that folks simply have had to cut some very viable, vital programs in order to make ends meet. Budget's certainly an impact, but when we look at some of our challenged schools, we see the impacts of poverty, we see the impacts of mobility, we see English language learners significantly increasing, and as a result, folks are dealing with student populations that are vastly different than they were even 10 years ago, and that's a real challenge.
I have a vision of a V formation, and once you're flying in V formation, everybody undergirds and you fly stronger if you're together. So the community is so important because they help with everything. The school system is only as strong as its community backing, and vice versa. So I've always been an advocate of community engagement being at a high level.
We have moved our benchmarks. We've moved the goalposts as schools get closer to them over the last few years, and that's probably was the right thing to do. We've made our tests more rigorous. We've made our standards more rigorous. We're more in line with really the higher national expectations for college and career readiness. And yet, it means we're really asking an awful lot. Our standards are no longer minimum competency. They really are college and career readiness. And we've got to figure out a way to adjust our accountability system to recognize and reward growth and progress, even for schools that aren't making benchmarks. And especially these schools here who are working with kids who are starting at a different beginning point than many of our students across the Commonwealth.
We went into the community. We not only had events at the school, but we were not afraid to reach out to our various housing developments and things of that nature to touch our parents, not afraid to go to their homes and have those crucial conversations because we were concerned and we wanted their children to make sure they got the best education possible. So we wanted them to understand that we cared. I was always visible in a lot of the events. My staff was visible, administration was visible at all the local events. So it was a good marriage.
Well, there are lots of things that we do need the General Assembly's help and partnership on reforming our standards of learning. In the long run, we really hope that we can fund more pre-K so that we can have a high-quality pre-K for all of our needy young people. And there are lots of other ways we can partner and support. It is not all about money. Some of it is about money. And yet there's also there's a need really for a recognition for the good hard work that's going on at our local levels and for promoting good practices, keeping expectations high, but also giving folks some room to work when they're dealing with such challenging circumstances.
VAS was quite pleased to be a sponsor for today's event. Certainly VSBA took the lead and handled most of the logistics, but we realize how critical it is for superintendents to work very closely with school boards and then the district leadership working very closely with the school leadership and teachers. We certainly heard today that we have a major task ahead of us, but we've got solutions out there and strategies out there that I think everyone who was here today can take away and then begin to think about applying those strategies in their own localities. The one theme that I heard from just about every presenter today is that no one can do it alone and that we have to work with each other within our districts. But certainly there's an environment now beyond the district borders to work with each other throughout the state. So as Virginians, we're a family, and all of our children fall under the purview of educators throughout the state. And I think everybody's leaving today with enthusiasm and energy to try to help each other.